is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio. PHLV Radio.
Are you ready to travel? We got all the travel buzz here on Smart People Travel Wise with Alvin Adriano on PHLV Radio.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Smart People Travel Wise. We have so much to talk about, and I hope everyone's excited for some really great news. Now, if you're just tuning in, I welcome you to our award-winning show, our podcast, Smart People Travel Wise, where we chat with industry executives, professionals, and bring you a lot closer to all the amazing destinations all around the world. We make sure we take you behind the scenes and get you all access pass to what's going on in the world of travel. Now, if you're just catching the show for the first time, my name is Alvin Adriano. I'm a travel professional who's been in the industry for over about 14 years. I went from frontline sales to upper management of a multi-million-dollar agency. And I really thank you for today for joining us. And I invite you to learn more about travel with us. However, this will be a little bit different from past episodes. And honestly, I've a lot of mixed emotions right now. It's truly an emotional time because unfortunately, this will be my last time I'll be hosting this show. I wish I had one of those sad sounds going off right now, but after a year of streaming live, I've been so blessed to be able to speak with all of you and be part of all of your lives. The pandemic was hard on many people, and it was really hard to talk, share, inspire others. But because of this podcast, I was able to do and reach out to a lot of different people. I've learned a lot through my experience, and I can't explain how thankful I am to be able to share my passion with each one of you. But there is great news because Smart People Travel Wise will have a new host starting next week, and it's someone who I've known for a majority of my life. She's someone that's ecstatic about traveling and helping others find their dream travel. But most of all, someone I trust to pass the torch to. Please smash the heart buttons for our new host of Smart People Travel Wise, Miss Tennie Sumague. Hey, Tennie.
Hello, Alvin. Hello to our viewers. I'm so excited to take over this podcast. It was a blessing in disguise. I can't believe I'd like to thank Alvin for trusting me with this responsibility. I don't know what he was thinking, but hey.
Well, we're all fortunate, and it's so great to be able to have you on the show and introduce you to all the viewers and all the audience because I know you from a long time. We've been friends, but for a little context, could you share a little bit of background of where you came from and how you became so entwined with travel?
It's a good question, Alvin. I would probably say I would say obsessed with travel and geography since I was probably 4. And I'm going to tell you, our viewers, when I was in 2nd grade, I knew all the state capitals. I knew how to pronounce all the states in order. I did it in front of my 2nd grade class. And my 2nd grade teacher was like, where in the world do you know this? I was like, I played this geography game in my computer, and I just was obsessed with it. And I think from there on, I love maps. I mean, I love all things related to the world and its cultures. Living in New York City all my life, and I'm from Queens, which is the most diverse borough in New York City. If you're not sure what boroughs are, we'll save that for a future podcast. But there's 5 boroughs in New York City: Manhattan, knowing that's where all Madison Square Garden, Empire State, Bronx, that's where the Yankees play, Staten Island, the forgotten borough, Brooklyn. When you associate Brooklyn, you think mafia and, Brooklyn pizza. And then there's Queens, where it's, the most diverse borough in New York City. And culture just was a really big part of the education curriculum where I went. And I think it's also just from self-knowledge. And when you really are interested in something, it becomes an obsession. Yeah. As a kid, you have a son, Pax, and I think you were saying he loves science, and I'm sure he's so he loves learning about it. And that was with me with social studies. I love learning about American culture, history, European history, and just Carmen Sandiego was one of my favorite shows, and I wanted to be part of that.
It's so crazy how we don't know these passions that we have, but the more that we start thinking about exploration and curiosity, and as you grow older, you start, different things are more important to your life. And so, we all have passions in life, but travel can mean so much for so many different people, whether it's leisure, romance, even faith. But for you, how has travel really inspired you?
Travel has inspired me in so many ways. And I'm going to start off with family, because both my parents are big travelers. When my mom came here when she was 20, and in her single life, she traveled everywhere. She went to Puerto Rico. She went to U.S. Virgin Islands with her friends. She's been Michigan, California. And then when she and my dad hooked up too, guess where they went to their honeymoon? They went to Europe. And part of, they love Europe. And that was actually part of us growing up as kids. Mm-hmm. We love Europe. We love the history, because my parents love European history. And every time we plan travels, if we could afford it, our first family trip outside the Philippines was London.
Wow.
I went to London when I was in 7th grade, and we did, we're kind of like nerdy. Of course we wanted to do the whole Buckingham Palace, the Big Ben, the double-decker bus. We all did that. But my dad, he was a very intelligent, certified public accountant. He came here at 24, worked at Goldman Sachs. Wow. And then for almost a decade, and then leveled up and became a controller. So because of my dad's hard work, and also my mom, who is a nurse, typical Filipino mom, we're privileged to afford to travel anywhere, wherever they wanted, wherever we wanted. So that's part, like, travel is very important to our family. It's also because my parents really wanted travel to be a part of us, not only to respect other cultures, to learn. It's a great way of learning outside the classroom, but it's our time to spend together when we're from working from school, and church is a big part of our lives too. We're very busy at church. You and I know that. And, that's like, travel was a time for us to just be together and, have family time. So that was a big thing. And faith comes along with it too. And I mean, traveling is how we met in our church activities in Maryland.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, even when I was young, travel was so important in my mom's life. My dad was in the Navy. My mom was a med tech. And she started her agency because she loved travel so much. She wanted to see and be able to open doors for all of us. And, I didn't realize how much travel meant to me until there came the time where I had to choose between accounting and the travel business. And I'm so glad that I made this choice, because now I can see how much it will change my children's life. When I first brought them to Rome, I didn't realize the effect it would have. But then when they were able to verbalize to their friends, I could see how important travel should be. And it's crazy because, my goodness, all the different things that people can learn when you travel by meeting people, seeing things in different perspectives, changing the way you see how people live. It's amazing to see the opportunity from different eyes and from a different perspective. It's really a unique experience. And I can't tell you how humbling it is to connect with these people around the world. But for you, Tennie, what are some of the best memories for you traveling? I mean, you've traveled so many places. What are some of the best ones that you can share?
Oh my God. I don't know. It's going to be when I was 4 and when I was 42. And
the best ones, the top ones.
Okay, it's a lot, because I've been everywhere and anywhere. The only places I haven't been to is Antarctica and Africa. But I will say I'm going to start off with where I'm going during spring break was Italy. And also my parents, that's my parents' favorite country outside of the Philippines. They love just the fashion, the language, it's language, art, everything. But with Italy, because I studied Italian for 7 years and I was a music major too, a voice major. So I had to study, one of the three languages I had to study was Italian. And I took Spanish for 12 years and it was an easy transition to study Italian, from Spanish to Italian. It was a lot easier. So it's going to be my third time going to Italy. Not many people have that opportunity. Yeah. My first time in Italy is I studied abroad in Florence my last year in college. And it was secret because for many years, I've asked my parents, can I please study abroad in Italy? And everything was no. Yeah. So I secretly found a way to work really hard to do study abroad. And I told my parents the day before I left. So, and I think when I went to Florence, that was actually my first trip going by myself. And it's an amazing city. And then it's always on every bucket list, travelers list, destinations. It's all over. Florence is always a top destination. And then from that, I went to Rome. And that was amazing to see the actual, what is that? The Colosseum. Yeah. You see it in movies, you see it in you see it in books, but when you actually see it like in person, and it's amazing. Rome was amazing because it's you step one foot, you're in ancient Rome, and another foot it's modern Rome. And that's a city that, I don't know if any other city is like that, where you could be in two places at once. And yeah, Italy, it's and then Venice too. Venice is folks, it's not like in Las Vegas. The real Venice is actually cool. Yeah. And I think one of the most memorable experiences is also, I hate pigeons too. That's another thing. There's so many of them in New York City, but having to see people like pet pigeons like they're dogs, it was disgusting.
But it's crazy. I mean, all these experiences are what makes travel so unique. You know, like a lot of people don't realize when you travel, you can really find the things that are important to you. You know, you're out of your comfort zone, the pleasures or luxuries in life that people value, whether it's, being comfortable or being able to see what it is in the local life or connecting with other people. I mean, there's so many different ways that people can build their experiences through travel. And I'm leading into because, you're talking from a consumer, you're talking from, personal experiences, but recently you just became a travel advisor with TravelWise. And so your experience is now starting to change because now you're seeing it from, I guess, all the doors, everything's being taken out. And so how's your experience now entering the travel industry now into space?
It's amazing how fast I've learned. And, I've actually always had an interest in being a travel agent, or when they used to call it agent, now it's advisor, right? And I remember because when I was student teaching, the teacher that I worked with also did, she also was a travel agent too. And, that was also her passion too, is travel. And you see that a lot in teachers. A lot of teachers love to travel because you meet, you work with so many students of different races and ethnicities, and you're just fascinated with culture. And I see that also a lot with a lot of music teachers as well too. Wow. And I remember she was trying to get me into it, but at the time I was just like, I knew I was interested in it, but I was like, oh, I don't know if I have the skills and the ability to, and I wanted to focus on being a teacher. But it was always in my head. And even when I would make lesson plans, world music was an important part of my curriculum. Mm-hmm. I've taught music of the Philippines, Jamaica, Bob Marley itself. What else? African music, even classical music. You tap into opera and all those classical composers from Europe. That's part of what traveling is, and it's I think this was just the best time to do it. And I was also, I'm going to share a story because this is how I got into becoming a travel advisor. Is my good friend, you know her too, because she's your childhood friend too, Jean Luna Starenkowitz, giving you a shout out. Just as I promised, I'm telling Alvin and our viewers our conversation on Telegram. We were just randomly talking about side hustles, and we had so many of them. And then one of the things she brought up was becoming a travel advisor. It's one of the things in her bucket list of side hustles. And I was like, me too. And I said, I saw this on Instagram about a company who's hiring travel advisors. And she was like, did you not forget Alvin does this for a living? And I was like, oh my God, I forgot. And then a couple days later, you posted something about looking for travel advisors. And I took that opportunity. And I know when we were talking about it, I was first like, maybe I'll start this out in June when the school year is over. But something had told me, if I don't start now, I'll never start it, or I have to start now so that by summer I could make sales, I could educate, give advice on where to go and so forth. So I'm happy to say that I took that leap of faith and got into it. And it's been actually, like I said, travel is a passion of mine since in childhood. I love passion probably more than my family sometimes.
I mean, I was surprised too that so many people don't know travel, any travel advisors, or don't know how to really get into the business. And it's crazy to me that we have all these professional service, but many people don't know the benefits of booking with a travel advisor or being a travel advisor. But now, Tennie, you've seen firsthand some of the unique reasons and benefits that people might not know about working with travel advisors. And can you share some of the benefits of what you realize that it's so, the benefits of booking?
I agree with that. And I think I learned how because I know sites like Expedia and what is this, Priceline, there's they give you like a cheap price, but people don't know that there's hidden fees in that. And you could also look like they give you a cheap price on airfare, not knowing that you can't cancel when you need to, or you wind up sitting next to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's awful. And then you realize, I was like, oh, this is the catch of why it's not, it's not, for me, my advice is not to book with those kinds of sites, because there's a catch. There's a catch to everything, but it's best to like go to an advisor and do everything, and everything firsthand, and then just meeting with them. And especially if they're an expert in a specific place, they could tell you where to go, where to stay, don't do this, be careful, and so forth. And I learned a lot as a traveler too. Like, oh, I should do this. I should get travel insurance, or I should stay at a nice hotel over 4 or 5 stars.
When you, no matter what, someone's booking your travel, whether it's a travel advisor or it's you, and that's really the catch that people don't realize. Like, you're the one spending all this time, and as a traveler, how much time and preparation it takes to plan a well-planned trip, because no one wants to spend their time, wasting time and going wherever and just trying to find things. Because when you start traveling, there's a lot of queues, a lot of lines, a lot of tickets. You never want to lose the advantage of time, because that's something that you can never get back, the opportunity to go out. And so when you start traveling better or having enhanced experiences, you start realizing the differences of you pay for what you get when you travel. And so it's really cool how you're starting to realize, like, oh my gosh, different ways that I can not influence people, but really engage them in, like, hey, have you considered this way to travel? This is a better way to travel for you because of your preferences, because this is what I know that you would enjoy firsthand. So yeah, I'm really excited for you, because this opportunity will be amazing. I mean, I know you're going to be great at it, and just being able to intertwine that with this podcast. I mean, you're going to be able to meet and chat with industry professionals and share their experiences, insights with all of yourself and all the audience. What a blessing, right?
It's a great blessing. And it's also, I get to learn like the do's and don'ts from these travel. I'm learning at the same time, learning from these experts and advisors, and they're going to help me travel better, and they're going to help me be a great I will say travel educator. I like the sound of it just because I'm a teacher by profession.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so much to learn. Travel's become so complicated lately. And so there's a lot of challenges that people just, it's just a support. I think in the pandemic, we realized that support and community is so important for all of us to really thrive, and having that person just walk you through or guide you through some of these protocols. I mean, it relieves the anxiety, relieves the stress, and makes you a lot more, focus on what it is that you want to do, which is enjoy your vacation, right?
Yes, and also, and just from experience, a lot of us are inspired to travel. One of the reasons is what we watch in movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I went to Singapore before the pandemic, I had watched Crazy Rich Asians.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone hasn't watched it, everyone knows like it's filmed in Singapore. And I remember talking to my sister, was like, let's do the whole Crazy Rich Asians thing. Let's go to all the hawker stall. I was like, we can't afford to stay at the Marina Sands Hotel, but we could stay at another luxury hotel.
Yeah.
And then I think we kind of experienced that like it's practical to stay at a luxury hotel because it's in the city center.
Yep.
And rather than staying in a 3-star hotel or somewhere that's kind of far because it's cheaper, but then you wind up spending the same amount like with transportation expenses too. So why not stay in a nice hotel where you can walk to all the points of interest, rather than staying in a cheap hotel and then you have to commute, and then that's just also a time waster too. You're on vacation.
I love the fact that you said about being an educator, because a lot of people just don't know some of these international brands, some of the ways that people can travel, abroad. A lot of people have expectations, and it's a lot different. There's a lot of different things that you can experience, whether it's adventure, romance, luxury, whether it's budget, even if it's for families. There's different ranges, and it's really important that when you talk to your advisor to really be honest about what it is that you're trying to experience, because that's what they guarantee, an experience that you will be able to pay for. And if you don't understand, well, that's why it's important to talk to a travel advisor so they can explain it and guide you through the process.
And to add on to that too is like when you stay in a nice hotel, you get all the amenities. Yeah. I remember my mom was like, oh my God, look at the shampoo. I'm gonna take that. Yeah. And then they sometimes have like free, they have the free breakfast, and you see the breakfast buffet. It's just like, these are things that you'll never eat in real life. So you get to experience a nice breakfast buffet or whatever it is. So you pay it's worth the money.
Yeah. And that's what really vacations are for. You want to spend a little more to treat yourself, to spoil yourself for all your hard work. When you start realizing that's what, to recharge. And a lot of people were burnt out, hit walls during the pandemic, and you see them traveling and you see the recharge because they're being able to connect and find, use emotions and find curiosity, things that we don't normally do in our routine, automated, mundane type of work schedules. So it's one of the best feelings is watching someone transform in your very eyes when they see a place that they've never been to, and they're just like, wow, just amazed by the grandeur. So I'm excited for you because you're going to be able to bring a lot of these professionals, a lot of these brands and hoteliers, cruise lines to the forefront, and really educate people about all of these experiences that they have just not known about in the wild. So we're talking about the podcast. You're going to start, this is next show will be your first show. Can you share any sneak peeks on maybe any concepts or what you're thinking about your own podcast now?
Oh man. There's, what it is? There's just so many things. It's like when you first start something, it's like, and when it's something that you've never done, I think about like my first time teaching. I'm like, it was kind of like not the worst experience, but it's the most nerve-wracking. I will say nerve-wracking because that's what I feel right now. I was like, what am I going to talk about? What can I do? So I think I would like to sneak peek on like inviting some travel advisors and talk about their niche and their favorite vacations and why should I go there, or why should people go there, and what they love about it. So I think I want to first start off with people who are either starting in the industry or people who have been in the industry, and talk about their niche and talk about their journey of why they love travel and why they entered the travel business. So, and that's kind of like where I want to start off with, because I will be learning a lot about them and learning, what I can do better as a travel advisor, a travel podcaster, travel journalist, whatever I'm going to do in travel.
learning all about the stories. And that's what it is, sharing our stories, sharing our experiences, and just learning from it. It's an amazing, amazing process for all of us.
Exactly.
So, we're slowly reaching out of the pandemic. A lot of the countries are relaxing their protocols. Quarantines have like disappeared. I think the federal mask mandate was extended for 2 more weeks just to get us through the end of through April. But what has this pandemic mean to you, and what kind of things have changed for you through the pandemic?
Yeah, I'll share a story of where I was before the pandemic really hit. And, the pandemic really hit hard in New York City. That was the hot spot. But I was in Guatemala when the pandemic started to really hit. And I was there for religious reasons. And, when I was in Guatemala, we were just thinking that, it's hit hard. And it's like we were hearing news from the NBA. It was Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell who were tested positive, and they shut down the NBA season. So all of us who were in Guatemala were like, oh, what else is going to happen? And then we found out like friends were getting tested positive in New York. So I remember being in Guatemala, and then they said in the news, everybody must return to wherever they are going because they're going to shut down the country because of the COVID, the increase of COVID cases. But from that period, people lost jobs, even in education, we were faced with a challenge of doing remote learning. And that was the first time all of us did that. And I think one of the most important parts of what I learned from the pandemic is problem solving. Right. You really have to think on the fly of like situations. And I remember my dad always teaching me too about saving money for the rainy days, because you don't know what kind of situations will happen. And this is one of a situation where, you should have an emergency fund in store, because you don't know what's going to happen. You might lose your job, and then, and so forth. So aside from problem solving, I think I've learned how to stop spending money. It was really, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I can't eat out. I have to cook. I do cook, but being a busy woman, I'm always like eating out and stuff. And during the pandemic, I was like, making stuff that what I would normally eat. And I realized, oh my gosh, I know how to make avocado toast. I pay $12 eating this when it's only $2 if I make it. Yeah. And there were other things that I was cooking that I was like, oh my gosh, I could poke. That was another one. I was like, I remember making poke, and I was like, oh goodness, I spend $15 when if you buy the right tuna, you could eat poke for 3 days and it's the same price. So yeah, problem solving, better money management, responsibility, saving, I guess, and cooking when you don't have to, have the option to take out. Like there's just so many, I think from the pandemic, I just learned to be a little bit more, I shouldn't say little, a lot more responsible with everything, finances, and just taking care of your family and everything. And I think also to be kinder, because I remember when the pandemic hit, I forgot my wallet in the supermarket, and then some lady just paid for my groceries.
Wow.
And she was like, don't worry, this is on me. We need each other. And I was just like, I don't remember New Yorkers ever being so nice.
Well, I mean, it's true. The pandemic really changed how people saw each other. People became more purposeful, more mindful because their actions meant something. People were faced with a lot of uncertainty.
Right.
And I think that's what's really important about like why travel's become so much more, it has a more meaning to people because they don't know what is going to happen in the future. You know, a lot of people, you know, wait till I'm going to retire so I can travel the world. I have the funds, but they realize like, hey, I don't know if there's going to be tomorrow. I want to take advantage now and see what I can see. People want to, you know, like we've done a lot of reunion trips where families who haven't seen each other, you know, across the nation, across the world are getting together for after 2 years and just reconnecting. And you can see the emotion that people carry when they don't get to see loved ones, family members. Those are all mixed emotions that people are trying to fulfill at these points. And that's why, you know, now that you're into travel, now that you're being able to understand what it is that you're delivering and its experiences and providing emotions, you know, it's such a wonderful industry because you can really see how travel just continuously to change. You know, it makes you richer in character, richer in integrity. And yeah, I mean, New York is like a country. There's so many different cultures in there that it's such a blessing to be surrounded by that.
And I've lived here all my life and I still haven't seen a lot of things. And there are some things that I didn't even know exist. I know I just recently established that, you know, you ever seen Ghostbusters?
Mm-hmm.
You know, wherever they filmed I guess, what is that? The fire where the firemen work or something like that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was downtown and it's placed in downtown Manhattan. I just learned that like a week ago. I think it was posted in the New York I Love New York Tourism Board. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that existed. So another thing to add to my, and there's just a lot of things that I see people post that when people come to New York on leisure, they see all these places, they try these all these different cuisines, and I'm like, I didn't know that existed.
I mean, again, the world is so vast and there's so many things and so many different ways that you can see the world. And that's the beauty about it. You can never travel too much. You know, you just have to keep traveling. So I just love everything that we're going to be able to talk about, or you're going to be able to talk about. It's going to be transformational for you as well. But being able to do, I mean, you're about to leave for Italy, right? And,
yeah.
You know, for all the viewers, can you just share like some of the places that you're going to be visiting?
Well, my pit stop is Milan because Milan is, why did I decide on Milan? For some reason, I just decided, and Milan is actually, there's a lot of Filipinos in Milan. It's the most, They have the most immigrants, Filipino immigrants in Europe over, I thought it was London, but it's Milan. And I also recently researched that there's a couple of Filipino restaurants and in the city.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, it reminds me of New York, like, or I would say, Milan is more, when you see a lot of Filipinos, I'm thinking San Francisco, because there's a lot of Filipinos there. That's kind of like what Milan is. And I was there, I think it was 18 years ago. And that was actually the last family trip we had as a family, because my dad died 2 years after we went to Italy. So that it brings a lot of meaning. I mean, I'm seeing friends there. I'm seeing a friend there who I haven't seen in 19 years since I last visited there. And I mean, we've kept in touch through Facebook and stuff. So we have we're meeting for dinner the day I arrived in Milan. And then I'm like, not so far from Milan is Lake Como, which is one of the popular Italian lakes. You know, it's always associated with George Clooney, and that's kind of why.
John Legend.
Madonna has like a villa there.
Yep.
And then Star Wars was also filmed in Lake Como. And like I said, like sometimes when you watch movies, it inspires you to travel. And that's one of the things. I'm a big George Clooney fan, and I love the whole Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12 movie, and I know they filmed parts of it there. So that was one of my kind of like why I chose it. And also because I do want to make Italy one of my main destinations that I want to help people travel with, because I've studied the culture throughout high school and college. And I love Italy, food, everything.
Love
Italian
it.
man, sure.
I love it. And I can't wait for you to share with all of the audience and all the viewers. I mean, it's going to be an amazing experience. And for you to bring us so much more closer through your experience, everyone's going who doesn't love Italy? And I know we're going to love it even more after you come back from your trip.
Yeah, I'm excited to share.
And I know you're probably busy. I know you're probably busy packing and still getting ready, right?
I did pack already, but then it's the important stuff like toothbrush, toothpaste. Where's my passport? and for the first time, I'm actually not overpacking because
Right.
I did read an article about travel and leisure, because I'm only there for 4 days, or five days. They said, okay, this is how you should pack if you're going on a trip less than 5 days. Only bring 2 shoes, slippers, and then sweaters. And the way I pack too, and I'm sure I'm gonna, and I usually also do laundry. Sometimes I do hand wash stuff, so I usually just bring any clothes that are hand washed, so I could just use it over again. Because who's gonna know that I wear the same clothes?
Well, I mean, that's good. And you do what you do when you have to travel, because pack light and just see the world. That's the best advice.
That's it.
But, I know you're probably busy getting ready for your trip and preparing. And, I'm so thankful for you for being able to take over the show, be able to share all of our experiences and, kind of pass the torch to you. But before you go, do you have any last minute tips or advice for all the viewers before you take over the show?
All right, viewers, you're in for a treat. It's going to be one entertaining podcast, I guarantee you. It's hard to fill in Alvin's shoes, but I'm going to do my best to be at his level of expertise. So stay tuned. If you want to reach out to me, and if you have ideas on travel tips that you want to share, feel free to let me know.
So if people wanted to follow you, what, social handles, is there to reach you? Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My handle in Instagram is Tennies, creative way. And I do want to go to Tennessee. That's also on my bucket list.
And we'll also post it in the comments. We'll post it in the comments for everyone to reach out.
Post it on the comments. Yes, it's Tennie, TenniesEE. On Instagram. Those are the 2 social media platforms that I check daily.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tennie, for being jumping on the show and really being so adamant about taking over the show and being able to continue our legacy at Smart People Travel Wise.
Thank you. And shout out to your wife too, Keisha. She's an amazing woman. I've never met her in person. I'm excited to meet her in person. You did a good job, Alvin, in marrying a really smart woman.
Well, thank you so much. We're so blessed to have you in our lives. I can't wait for all the viewers to see how your journey continues on. Take care, Tennie.
Take care, you too.
Well, as I mentioned to you all, I want to thank every person who has been part of this podcast and for trusting me with your time. Allowing me to tease your curiosity. I'm really just so blessed to be part of all your lives. And hopefully one day soon, I can be a guest on this show. But thank you all again from the bottom of my heart. This has been one of the most pivotal times in my life. And I thank you all for being part of it. Tennie's going to be an amazing host. I know her drive and passion is going to carry so much more of this show and creating levels that we've never reached. But I'm really excited for all of you guys and for Tennie for Smart People Travel Wise. But this is Alvin signing off. Until next time, Smart People Travel Wise.
Are you ready to travel? We got all the travel buzz here on Smart People Travel Wise with Alvin Adriano on PHLV Radio.
just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
PHLV.